as promised, we have Tyler Florence here in the kitchen. Tyler, it's great to have you in St. Louis.
Barbara, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. We're going to make an unbelievable turkey recipe for you today.
Great. Well, I know you recognize Tyler as a star of Food Network. He's a restaurateur, a cookbook author, and also a winemaker. Can't wait to hear about your wines also.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we're happy to be here. We're going to be cracking some corks today. First things first, we're going to break this down and kind of talk about the philosophy of what I'm doing all at the same time. But we're not going to roast a turkey whole. We're going to break the turkey down into individual pieces and roast it sort of a deconstructed style turkey, right? So if you take a look at the turkey, there are actually lines to follow, right?
Yes.
That you almost sort of need to sort of approach it as if it were a big chicken, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to take the breasts off, we're going to take the legs and the thighs off, and we're going to roast those separately. Okay, so first things first, you want to take a knife, right? You want to make sure the knife is nice and sharp, right? So if around the holiday time is probably the one of maybe a handful of times you actually pull out the big knife, right? Do yourself a favor and just get it sharpened before everybody comes over for dinner. That way you've got something nice and sharp to work with.
Very important.
Right? Okay, so we got a sharp knife, so we're going to take our turkey and we're going to go along the breastplate just to the right side of it. We're going to make one big cut, and then we're going to cut and take the knife and actually curve it around the breastplate. And you want to cut and look and cut and look and cut and look, right? Until you get to the wing joint, which is just right there, right? And then we're going to come along the back side of this, and we're going to open up the turkey and just separate the skin from where the thighs start to connect, okay? And as it starts to open up, we're going to spin the turkey around and just cut through the wings. What we have here is a complete section of a turkey breast with a turkey wing, okay? So that's one side of it. And then we're going to do the same thing with the thigh here. So you want to take the knife and just carve around as if it were circular motion.
Okay.
And carve and look, right? And then once you get to the leg, it just breaks apart very simply. And that's it, right? So as we start to do this, let's talk about the philosophy of cooking a whole turkey anyway, right?
Sure.
So everybody cooks a whole turkey every year. And I've cooked hundreds of different kinds of recipes, from roasting to brining to deep frying a turkey. And every year, when you cook a whole turkey, it starts to turn to a disaster pretty quickly, right? And everybody knocks on the same door every year, and they always kind of get the same outcome because the turkey is overcooked and it's always really dry because we're actually cooking an entire bird, right? This is a pretty massive thing to put in an oven, right? So when you cook a whole bird, everyone's really concerned about the turkey actually being cooked all the way through at the joints and at the bones. And what happens when you do that, you end up overcooking the best part, which is going to be the breast, to make sure the bones are cooked all the way through.
Right.
And the bones either end up in a stock pot or end up in the garbage, so it's sort of a lose-lose situation for everybody. So a couple years ago, I came up with this particular recipe, and it overwhelmingly started to connect with people because then they started to make a great turkey, and they started to make a great turkey from the first try, right? So now we have the individual pieces. So with this particular process, we're going to cut the cook time of the turkey by more than half.
Perfect.
So this turkey itself will cook in about 35 minutes versus an hour and a half to 2 hours, right? And it's going to be succulent and delicious and perfect. So we're talking about two breasts with the wings connected, and then the thigh and the leg pieces together. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to chop some herbs, right? So the name of this specific turkey dish is split roasted turkey buried in herbs. So to me, it's a very simple thing. It's got 4 ingredients: turkey, thyme, rosemary, and sage, and salt and pepper, and that's it.
Very simple.
It's really clean, it has tons of flavor to it, and we're going to utilize just some fresh herbs to pull out some dynamic flavor out of the turkey itself. So, Barb, so what I want you to do, so our knife is nice and clean. I'm going to let you start chopping this stuff up. So we're going to make a nice little pile, right? So you got rosemary. I'm just going to strip this down for you.
Thank you.
And we got some sage. And this is going to be the base note in the turkey.
So fragrant already.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And I really love sage itself. Sage to me, especially if you kind of wake up the aroma, smack it like that, like it. Sage smells like Thanksgiving the way cumin tastes like a taco.
You
know, like it tastes
very traditional.
Yeah, you immediately identify the aroma for what it is. And I think it smells like the holidays. All right, so we've got sage, we've got a little bit of fresh thyme, and again, this could be one herb, could be a mixture of a few different herbs. You can leave the herbs off for the most part. I wouldn't use dried herbs for this. I don't think that's a clear substitute.
Right.
Because the oils aren't the same, right? Other than dried oregano for my tomato sauce occasionally, I don't really use dried herbs for anything. So fresh herbs is the way to go. So we're going to strip these down and make a nice little pile of it.
Okay.
Here, let me go through it one more time.
Sure.
So nice and fine.
Okay.
Right. Also, a really good way to chop herbs. So when you put your knife in through the pile, it's a really good idea to make sure that pile is as dense as possible. That way, when you put your knife through it, you're making as many slices as you possibly can. So we're going to roll it up really, really super tight. We're going to keep our hands down, right? And then we're just going to take your knife and just basically destroy it. All right, perfect. Now we're going to take our minced herbs here, and when you really start to break them down, they smell amazing.
Okay? Yeah, the aroma is great.
They smell incredible. Okay, so we're going to take this bottle, we're going to put this into a bowl. We're going to add some extra virgin olive oil to this, and we're going to make a paste. We're going to make a slurry out of this. And this is going to go on the turkey itself after we get a really, really nice sear out of it. Okay, so we got a nice little slurry here. We're going to put this aside, and now we're going to talk about searing a bird. Okay. All right, so we're going to take our pan. And another great thing about this particular dish, it's still got tons of curb appeal, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to sear and cook the turkey in the same roasting pan that you would normally roast a traditional style whole bird in. So you can still take this out to the table and have that wow factor.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Which is really important.
I've never done searing in a roasting pan. That's a new thing for me.
Well, you can sear on anything. You can sear on a car hood. You can sear anything that's metal.
Okay.
You can apply heat to it. You can sear to it. So to me, this is a really important step. So when you're roasting, there's a thing called the Maillard reaction, where the amino acids and the protein actually melt and fuse together, and they create a crust, right? So that crust is what delicious roasted meat smells and tastes like.
Okay.
So just like if you're making a pot roast in like a slow cooker, it's really important to sear it first to really kind of develop that Maillard aroma. That
it gives you a whole different flavor.
Exactly, versus just putting it into a pan cold.
Right.
Okay, so we got a little bit of salt on top of this. We're not going to put any pepper on it just yet because pepper burns at a high heat. So we just want the salt, right? And then what we're going to do, put a little bit of olive oil on top of this because there is some fat in the skin, all right, but not necessarily a ton to make a big difference out of it. So we want to make sure we got a nice big even smear of olive oil so when we put it in the pan, we've actually accentuated the fat. So we're going to get some really good color out of it all the way. Okay. All right, boom. So when we get some good heat out of our roasting pan, we're actually going to start to assemble the turkey skin side down. That's a good sign, right?
All right.
Nice sear on top of that, right?
Good.
We're gonna put the turkey into the pan as if it were shoes going into a shoe box. Okay.
All right. That's different.
All right. So check it out. So it's going to be the legs down first. Okay. Okay. And then we have two spaces in the back for our turkey. Right. So you want to make sure the skin is making some really good connection with the metal on the bottom.
Okay.
Because that's going to give us a nice big roasted color. Okay. So this step right here will probably take around 8 to 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Right? So we want a really, really nice color on top of this. All right, Barbara, so take a look at this. Now, so the turkey has been in the pan, skin side down, for about 10 or 12 minutes. And look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? Right?
Gorgeous.
So this is what I call the Maillard reaction.
Okay.
Right? Again, it's where the amino acids and the protein actually melt and form a delicious crust on top of this. And that tastes delicious.
Yeah.
Also, on the bottom of this, we're starting to build up some really yummy brown bits so we can actually make a nice gravy out of the bottom of what's left over in the pan when we're done anyway. So this is going to be a really perfect recipe. So we're going to flip these over.
Okay.
Okay. All of our turkey parts. And just kind of make room for everybody. The whole thing will totally squeeze in here. Again, like a pair of shoes, right?
Mixed it all together?
Exactly, exactly. And then we're going to take our herb slurry that we put together. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Nice color.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right? So then we're going to take our herbs that we put together in a nice little paste, and then we're going to drizzle this over top. So we're getting a really, really deep impact of the flavor immediately. Isn't that gorgeous, guys?
That's really pretty.
It smells like the holidays.
Yeah, you already get the aroma of all those herbs, the rosemary and
it's a simple,
sage.
perfect recipe because if the oven is not just completely full for 3 or 4 hours cooking a regular turkey, you can do a lot of other things like sweet potatoes and make a nice pie. Right.
Right.
All right, so that's the base.
Okay.
And then we're going to actually bury the turkey and some herbs anyway. So we got some garlic, and grab some sage and rosemary,
okay.
and we're going to leave those whole.
Leave them whole? All right.
Yep.
Let me get some for you.
So we're going to nestle some garlic in here. So again, it picks up that aroma as well.
There you go, sage.
Yep. And then we're just going to start to bury our turkey in some herbs.
All right.
Like that.
Rosemary.
Rosemary, everything, whatever you got. Thyme.
Okay, yep, we got thyme.
Perfect.
Got some oregano.
Oregano's great. I like that.
Okay, here we go.
Good deal. Isn't that beautiful, guys?
Oh, it's pretty.
So we're going to drizzle some fresh extra virgin olive oil on top of the herbs. And then we're going to hit it with some fresh cracked pepper right now. Again, you don't want to put pepper on it before you sear it because pepper will burn. Okay. And this is going to go into the oven at 375 degrees. And this is going to be finished in like 30 minutes. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's the fastest turkey ever.
Like 30 minutes. You take the bone out of the way, you've got a turkey that's going to cook faster. It's going to be perfectly cooked and juicy. And again, if you still want to use an instant read thermometer, you're looking for 155 to 160 degrees, right the thickest part of the joint, right? Okay. And you can pick up an instant read thermometer for $5 or $6 at a kitchen shop.
Yeah, that's a great way to test the doneness.
Exactly right. So we got this, right? And we're going to throw this into the oven. And this is going to be ready in like 30 minutes.
All right, let's do it.
It's turkey time.
Coming up, Tyler's complete holiday menu with the perfect roasted turkey paired with his signature wine.